What's up? What's up? What's up, twisted people? Thank you for joining me and my mama as we talk evil. We're talking evil episode. It's episode 10, right, lady? We're already on episode 10. I think we're getting like 13 episodes of the season, right? So we're on 13 episodes. We're on 10. Well, this is the 10th episode. I think there's about 13 or 14 episodes because, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of it. O is for Ovaphobia. And at first when I saw that title, I was like, what is this even talking about? But as it went on, I think we got a glimpse of, I think we got an understanding of kind of what was going on. There's a lot going on with evil. So we are talking about it. Thank you for joining me. My name is Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted Woman CKR, talking all things horror, sci-fi, and supernatural here on my YouTube channel when it comes to great stories that we dissect. And for this particular series of evil on CBS and Paramount Plus, I am joined by the woman who made it all possible because she made me possible, Karen Robinson, my mama. She's joining me as well. And so thank you all of you who are joining us in the live chat and those of you who are joining us in the replay. Zen is here. Thank you so much for joining us, Zen. Sabetti, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure when you all join and give us so, much to talk about. And there is so much to talk about. Oh my gosh. I don't even know what this episode was almost with everything that was. I feel like they threw so much at us. And I guess maybe part of that is because it is the 10th episode. So we are heading to probably, I think, the end of the season. So things have got to rev up. And I feel like things revved up, but they also kind of took a lot of different turns. And we got new mysteries coming in there as well, which was like, whoa. So I guess what I want to start off is asking you all, in the live chat and also in the replay, what grade would you give this episode if you could give this episode a grade? And Mom, I'm going to go with you first, of course, as my co-host. What grade would you give this episode? And like briefly, why that grade?
I gave it a B+ because it came out very good. And, especially with the mother and what was going on with her, I gave it a B+ because it was mostly showing all. It was just like coming at me. So I really felt like, it caught my attention. Even with the little girl, it caught my attention. I said, wow. So, and, it was good. That's my grade, B+.
I agree with you. I'm definitely going to give this a B as well, a B+ for sure. As Sabetti is saying, what the heck did we watch? I think that's a very good example. And for those of you who are watching, looking at the screen of it, I am showing Cheryl in her beautiful glory. She looked great. Cheryl's a great character, very interesting character, and she looked very good. Wearing red to a white party. Oh my gosh, the scandal, scarlet letter going on there. And, so we had Cheryl there, and Sabetti is saying, I think I'd give it a B because I wanted a little more explanation on Cheryl. And let's talk about some of the things that happened in this episode, right? Let's go through it because I do think that's important. The grade I would give it is also a B+, and for a number of reasons. I will say I have enjoyed some episodes a lot better. And I'll say this in relation to some of the other ones where it was once again a thing where I think a solid A plot and B plot is the best. When you have an episode that has a solid A plot and a B plot going on, those are the best because you have a tendency to feel like you, as a viewer, for myself, I can focus on both. And also, especially in an hour-long show, or really like 46 minutes or so, in that time, I feel like when you have an A plot and a B plot, both of those plots have a chance at least. It's not always successful, but they have a chance at least of getting the attention they need, the exposition they need, the follow through that they need. And it's not just like, I think when you have just one plot, that can be a lot unless there's something really intense going on for one whole episode, like we got at the monastery, which was, S is for silence. That was very much focused on that place there. And I dug it, but even with that episode, I did say I do prefer sometimes the A plot, B plot. the issue, although all these plots were so great for this episode, there were so many. And almost, and I hate to say this because I love the show, I feel like it was too many almost, because there was so much going on. And I get it because of the fact that it is episode 10 and they only have so many episodes left. So they got to have things happening. And we had Ben and his girlfriend. We had Cheryl. We had Lexi with the tell. And we had Kristen, of course, and the plot of the RSM fertility of, you know, what happened to one of Kristen's eggs. You know, there was so much going on where I was like, wow, this is a lot. And all of these are really good, but it would have been maybe better. You know, it would have been better maybe to get 2 of those. And then next episode, 2 of those. Even the Lexi plot. I would, you know, Lexi kind of, this tell plot that they have with her, maybe it would have been better them sprinkling that throughout in other previous episodes, as opposed to that's going on, this is going on. It was a lot. Did you feel that way, lady? I kind of felt like there was a lot going on, and I felt like certain plot lines were kind of short-staffed, kind of similar to what Betty brings up, which was, you know, I would have I mean, with that Cheryl plot, I was just like, what? I was like, what's going on? And maybe that was the point. Maybe the point was to make us totally confused, but good job if that was it. But also, what? You know? Hey, Hino, thanks for joining. And Hino is saying, oh my God, I saw the first season of Evil and it was great. Haven't seen season 2 yet, but I wanted to join your stream. Thank you so much for joining. And oh my gosh, Hino, you've got to catch up with Evil. It is so good. That's your assignment, Hino. You have to catch up. So when we do episode 11, you can really join in with it in terms of your thoughts and stuff, because you gave some great thoughts on another show that you jumped in on the live stream for. And so I want to definitely hear your thoughts here, for sure. Sabeti is saying, I think they could have saved Lexi's storyline for another episode. Exactly. Yeah. If not even just like throughout, right? Like just little bits throughout of her dealing with that would have been fine. It didn't need a whole thing in one whole episode. You get what I'm saying? And I kind of felt that way. Well, what do you think, lady? Do you think I'm kind of, you know, going ham on it? Do you think it was, you know, just right? What do you think?
Yeah, they did. They crammed it all up there because you're trying to figure out one thing and then it jumped to another thing. Like with, you know, when they had her, I'm like, what the heck is going on here with her? And then, especially with the blood transfusion and everything, I didn't understand that. See,
was it blood? I don't know if it was blood, if we're going to be honest.
You know, one thing, wherever he's stuck in her, he's stuck in him.
Let us know, y'all, in the chat and the replay. Do you think that was blood? We're going to talk about that plot line in depth, but I want y'all to start thinking about it. What are your guesses on what that even was? Because I'm quite confused.
I think it was blood.
I don't know. It wasn't red. It wasn't dark red. It was like a brown thing. And, you know, Zen is actually pointing out, thanks for joining, Zen, is saying, I'm wondering if Cheryl is being turned. And that's what I'm wondering. But the question is, turned into what? Like, I mean, what are they? Like, I don't know. Honestly, at this point, I always thought Leland, I thought it was debatable about who Leland is, right? Yeah. Is he a demon? Is he a human who just likes demon tendencies? Is he a vessel for a demon? We don't really know what Leland is almost. So it's kind of like, and this Trigon guy, and I want to talk about Trigon. That's my dude from a Very Brady sequel. I love him. He was in the Very Brady sequel. He's an actor who's on a lot of other stuff. We've seen him throughout the years, but he was on Very Brady sequel. If people know that movie, and he played the guy who was pretending to be the husband who passed away. Anyway, I digress. Geek moment for Brady Bunch movies. But, you know, it's kind of like, you know, what are they? I mean, that's a good theory, but what are they being turned into exactly? Wait a minute. Pop people?
Like he said, he was an influencer. You know, these are influencers that tell people what to do and they do it or whatever. That was that's what his job was. I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I didn't even understand that.
I didn't understand that either. I said, they pay you money for that?
Well, we do know influencers are paid to be influencers. like it happens.
Doing, you know,
They
but
do.
that's why I said I didn't understand. She was saying, you know, I wouldn't have trust that. She didn't trust. I mean, she.
Well,
just,
we're gonna talk about Cheryl's choices. We gotta talk about them because
sure.
we gotta talk about it, but we aren't there yet. Zen is saying, I don't think it's blood. I think it's meant to control her mind. And that kind of follows into what Sabetti is saying, as that they turn Cheryl into a whole Stepford Wife. And I think y'all might be on to something, because Leland had the doctor in there as well, and she couldn't move. So it seems like there is some kind of controlling Stepford Wife thing going on there. And when we get to that actual point, I want to talk about what Leland pulled up. I think it was something. What was the name on the computer? I wrote it down and I don't even have that note right there. There was something, if y'all can remember, let me know. There was something he pulled up on the computer, and that probably has some significance to the kind of procedure they were doing. Zen is also saying Leland wants to control Kristen to get to David. You might be right.
I believe that part.
And maybe that's, I really hope you might have just stumbled onto something, Zen, and I'd be really feeling some type of way. I worry that the next might be that it's Kristen's mom first and the doctor before, and then in the end they get Kristen, that they're doing something with Kristen and like taking her thing or whatever. Although I don't think they'd be able to do that. I think David would be able to tell if she turned into a Stepford Wife, but who knows where they're trying to go. That might be the twist, eventually trying to get to her. So let's talk about the specific things that happen, y'all. So I mean, so far, you and me, Mom, we seem to be on the same page when it comes to the grade. I think we both give it a B+. I felt like it was a little crowded this episode. There was a lot of great stuff, and that's why I felt it was crowded. It's not one of those things where I was like, oh my gosh, why are we spending time on this? We could be giving more time. It was more like, yo, all of these things are really good. You just shouldn't be cramming it into a 50-minute episode. Like, it's too much to put all here that it doesn't give me a chance to really take it in, right? So let's start first with Ben. Okay, so Ben had the situation with his girlfriend, or girlfriends, plural, depending on how you think about this, because Vanessa, but now also Maggie. And so what we got was that, you know, Ben has still been dating his girlfriend, and we love her. I love that, you know, that whole episode they got to get together on that ghost hunting show and everything. It was very good how they introduced that relationship. So I like that it's still around, right? I think she's a good match for him. But she has that issue that we learned. She has a phantom, like something going on with her arm that her sister's been connected to. And so she finally, you know, the issue pops up is that her sister's acting up and going crazy and things like that. And so she wants to get rid of her. And so she goes to a witch doctor or a medium or whatever she called herself. And what did you think of that scene? Because I honestly, when the table was moving and the light was coming on, it kind of reminded me of, I'm going to do a deep cut for y'all because y'all know I love reading about this kind of stuff. I'm actually currently reading a book about spiritism, which deals with people back in like the 1800s, 1900s, and still a movement that goes on today, not as prominent or not as like publicized, I should say, that deals with people who connect to spirits and stuff. And one of the things that they had to deal with in spiritism dealt with the fact that when they were doing the seances and stuff, that people would call some of the people who were charlatans, who were like, you know, kind of scamming people out, that they were doing things to move the table. You know, they had mechanism to move the table and get lights on and stuff. And I immediately thought, oh my gosh, this is fake. Like they're being, you know, his girlfriend is kind of being taken for a ride, because there's totally ways she could be having the room set up like this where she claps and all the lights go off. I mean, movie magic. I mean, we have movies nowadays that do exactly this. So who's to say she couldn't set something like this up? Lady, I want to know what y'all think in the chat and replay. But did you think it was real, the thing, or do you think she was kind of taking them for a ride?
When she first started off, I thought so. And then I said, might be real here, what she's doing. But then at the end, when she said 350, I said, I don't know. She said 350. Like, I did it now. Give me my 350.
That part made me think she was legit because she was like, I know what I'm doing. I just did it. But then, like I said, it did seem like a bit theatrical, you know? It was like the light and the table. It's like, okay, how'd she do that? What's going on here, you know? Go ahead, Ma.
But what part got me is when that table flew out, he was even shocked on that one. I'm like, oh.
But you know, they can make that happen. This was what I was talking about with spiritism and medium work that was going on. There was a whole wave of spiritism that was taking over in the Victorian era. And people were, you know, saying they were mediums. And not saying that there weren't people who aren't real mediums. I actually believe that there are. But there were people that were taking people for a ride, right? Saying, oh, I can talk to your dead relative and stuff like that. So they'd have them sit around a table and there'd be, and this is back in 1800, 1900, early 1900s. They had a mechanism that made it so they could make it so that the table would move and things like that.
Okay, I know that.
In the room. So that's what I thought was going on here. So I was like, okay, I'm not believing this. This is too theatrical to be real. But what got me was when his girlfriend did what she did. She was like, you know, and I'm like, that seems real. I mean, she's not in on it per se. So that had to be real, or at least she really felt something change. See what y'all were saying. So Betty's saying, oh my God, I forgot about the whole Ben part. Does she have a split personality? That's the question we're trying to figure out, right? Is Vanessa Maggie, you know, is there some sort of possession going on, or are they, you know, just having, like you said, a mental thing of a split personality? Zen is saying she should not have gone to that psychic. I think she screwed things up. Yeah, maybe there was something where instead of the psychic getting rid of her sister, she empowered her. And Sabeti is saying, I thought the same thing at first in terms of it not being real. And Zen saying, I think it was real. So, and this is what this show has a tendency to do. And we've talked about this on other live streams, right, y'all? On other streams of this, where the show has a tendency to keep certain things very vague. Certain things are just left very vague with the show. So it's kind of like, I don't know if we'll ever find out if the psychic was real or not, or if they'll just leave it being vague and that this is more to do with his girlfriend. And Zen is saying the dead should stay dead. I mean, I ain't arguing with you. I ain't about bringing nobody back to life. It's all, you know, the cycle of things. But, you know, you do have things where people try to connect with their departed loved ones on the other side to get messages and things like that. I'm not necessarily against that. The issue is you do have a lot of people since that time up to now who take advantage of that, of people, and they're not being truthful that whether or not they're really connecting with someone from the other side, right?
Yeah, but then who was on the phone? It said Vanessa.
And that's what we get to next, right? Which is, I could go with like what Sabeti is saying in the live chat, in the stream, right? Which is that she has a multiple personality. She has a split personality. That's what's going on. The only problem is, how did she make the phone call? Like, what? How was she able to call and be like, I'm on my way, I'm on the train, and then she's really there? And then it's like, okay, did she split off into two bodies? Because how did she get a whole body? I mean, they were twins when they were younger, but how did she get a body? Like become corporal, become physical, right? And so that's where I get confused, because I can go with, okay, they're going to go one or two ways. They're either going to keep it vague and she's got a split personality or whatever, or maybe she was possessed. But if you have it so that they're in two places at two different places at the same time, that kind of throws you off. Because I'm now like, wait a minute. Like, how did she get a whole other body? Like, how is she on the train and she's here in the apartment? You know what I mean?
Ben said, I'm out here.
Yeah, Ben was like, no, this is weird. I don't know what's going on, because how could she do that? And I did get creeped out by that for a second. I was like, because this is one of those things where, and maybe, like I said, maybe that was the point of this episode, to be throwing so much at us that certain things would catch us off guard. Because the Ben situation caught me off guard when he answers the phone and she's sitting there on the phone and she's like, I'm on my way. And he's like, what are you talking about? And it's like, yo, she comes out of the room and she's like, I'm not on the phone. And I'm like, what? I was really shocked. And I almost kind of you know, once again, because it's like, man, if this had been its own B plot or even an A plot, I would have been able to really appreciate the turn this plot line took. But because right when that happened, something else went on in another plot, it was hard for me to like even kind of take it in, you know? So I did like it. I love it. I love what they're doing because I'm like, how are they going to explain this? What does this mean? How is she two bodies? How did she call him and she's in the room? Whatever. What do you think it's going to be, lady? Do you think she has a split personality? Do you think somehow when she went to the psychic, they manifested another body or something?
Well, look, I was hoping that he was going to stay and wait for her to come off that train.
I would have done that too. I'd have been like, okay, we all gonna sit here and wait to see who comes in that room.
That room and come through that door. Because I'm curious how to have. I want to have more. I said no, we're gonna wait for your sister to get here. And then so, like he was saying, like she said it was her. Remember, she said it was her right. It was on her left.
She mixed up, and then she was like, well, "What do you think that means, Ben?" Which is, and then Ben kind of went along with it, which was fine because he's probably thinking, you know, that's my girl. I love her. And I'm just going to kind of play along with this till I can get her some help. But when you have a whole other person calling you on the phone, I mean, could you imagine you're in the room with somebody you think it's them? Like, Mom, if I was in the room with you and then I'm talking to you, oh, we got to go here. And then you get a call and like, Mom, I'm on my way. You'd be like, what? You'd freak out. I freaked out for Ben. It was probably the best twist of that episode almost because it was like, what even, right? So Betty is saying maybe they will have Vanessa and Maggie go to a psychiatrist. I think they will. The question is, this is the thing. I could go with maybe a split personality, maybe it's possession, but not if there's two totally different bodies. That's what's throwing me off. Like, are we going to see them in the same room? Zen is saying now her dead sister is taking over her body in relationship to Ben. Zen is saying, I don't think it's two separate bodies. You might be right, but then how then do we explain the call? Zen, you gotta explain it to me then, Zen. How do we explain the call? When she went to the room, she came out. So it was like, you know, but then again, when Ben answered, she did potentially hang up. But she came out while they were talking. So I don't know. So basically, I cannot explain the phone call, which leads me to believe the medium was real. Yeah. Zen is saying technology can't be hacked. And Felix saying, Felix, thanks for joining us in the chat, Felix, is saying Ben should have stayed to see what is really going on. I agree with you. And Felix is also saying it's a doppelganger. You might be right. But why didn't she know she had a doppelganger? Who knows all this stuff about her? Or maybe her twin never really died. Maybe her twin sister has always been around or something. I don't know. Maybe they've both been sharing Ben. Maybe they've both been sharing Ben and they've been playing it like they haven't been. I don't know. They've got to figure. I am so curious because this took a turn and it's probably one of the more, I mean, they're all interesting plots, but this is a very interesting plot. And I'm just like, where is this going and why? So I'm really excited to see where that goes. Then it's saying spirit calls is a thing that some claim is possible. Oh, so you mean a thing of her spirit calling him on the phone. You might be right. That could be an explanation. And maybe they'll bring that up where a spirit calls you or connects to you through your phone. Yeah. Because I've seen her
calling on the phone saying that she's on the train and she's on her way.
Maybe she's not even aware. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe because they're going back and forth, there may be a thing where if they're sharing the same body, maybe the other twin is tricking her, making her think, oh, you're just blacking out, or she's inside her mind saying, oh, everything's fine. You're going about your business, but we're really somewhere else. I've seen it done. I actually saw it done in a recent movie I watched. I'm not going to say what movie that was yet because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But there was a recent movie I watched that did pretty much the same thing where people were sharing a body and the other person was making the other person think they weren't, aware of it. My mom is also aware what I'm talking about because we watched the movie together. So, but yeah, so that could be possible. The spirit call thing actually is interesting because, I think we've all heard stories, right, where someone passes away and someone will say they got a call from them after they had supposedly passed, where they didn't even know the person passed. And then they were on the phone and the person said something to them. And they were like, okay, yeah. And they hang up and then they get news. And it's like, what time was that? And it was like maybe 2 to 3 hours ago, but they had just got the call. So you might be onto that. And Zen is saying, I saw that in a movie many years ago. Don't remember the name. Yeah, no, you might be onto something with that. So that would be very interesting. That would explain it, because I'm going to be real thrown off if somehow there's two of them, two physical bodies all of a sudden. That's going to throw me off. I'm leaning more towards what you're saying with the spirit calls in. So we had that with Ben, and that was a big thing. And then we move on to another big thing, which is Cheryl. Let's talk about Cheryl, right? Lovely Cheryl, who is still up to many mischievous things. She stole that dress. She looks lovely in it, but she stole it. Not sure why she stole it, but she stole it. She just seems to be a very mischievous character. Kristen got raised by a woman who definitely does not play by the rules. And so we get a continuation with this meeting that Cheryl had with Leland last episode, where they kind of made a deal, and Leland's like, hey, I wanted you to come to this party and meet some influencers. And of course, to me, this already sounds weird, because I also question, what kind of influencers did Cheryl think Leland was going to introduce her to? And what kind of business does she think Leland actually does? What kind of business does she actually do? She did mention that she does racketeering, but okay. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's weird. But she goes to this party, it's a whole thing. And, she meets Trigon. That was his name, right? Trigon, which is also a very interesting name. I don't know if people are aware. I'm going to do a little DC Comics nerd here and say Trigon is the name comes up multiple times, because as soon as I heard that name, I was like, whoa, what's the meaning behind that? I initially thought demon, of course, but Trigon is also a DC Comics villain, and he is a demon from another dimension in DC Comics. So I don't know if the creators are just DC Comics fans or what, but that could be a thing. There's also another Trigon in a Japanese manga. So, I mean, I'm not sure, but that was his name, right? It was Trigon, right?
I think so.
Wasn't it Trigon? Because as soon as he said, I'm like, that's a unique name to have. Not unique, but like, that's a very distinct name to have, especially when it's associated with what it's associated with. And so she meets Trigon, and then, he's cute because he's my dude from a Very Brady sequel who we love. And she thinks they're going on a date, and basically she gets roofied in some kind of way, which was it was weird. Because I was worried for her, because I was like, I didn't think anything like, that was going to happen. But I was also like, what's about to happen? And just watching a woman be helpless in a situation like that, and now her body's being used for something she didn't sign up for, had layers of creep factor in it. And of course, Leland comes out, and it's like, what are they about to do? I mean, in a way, you're kind of like, Cheryl, you kind of put yourself in this position. You kind of just, maybe you just didn't think Leland was going to be capable of that or whatever, but you also kind of let your guard down. What's good? And so they do this kind of, exchanging of liquid. We don't know. The jury's out on what that liquid is. Ma, you think it was blood. I don't think it was blood. It looked like brown liquid. And I don't know what that was about. I don't know if Trigon has some kind of blood that maybe that makes it so whoever exchanges it with him, he can influence them. Maybe that's what it is, because he did say he's an influencer. So maybe when he exchanges blood with people, gives them his blood, which is brown liquid or something, he can control them or something. That's my theory I'm going with. Let me know in the chat and in the replay, y'all. Do y'all think that makes sense? Because I am very baffled by this plot line. We saw the doctor that Christian was talking to earlier, she's also in there, and she seems to be being controlled as well. So it seems like Leland and Trigon are taking people and doing something to them, and like earlier was mentioned, maybe Stepford wife kind of thing, kind of controlling them in a way. But then we saw her come out later with Trigon acting regular and talking about, we're going to go play tennis. And David's like, okay, like what's good? So what did you think of that plot line, Maya? What's your theory on what is actually happening here?
To be honest with you, I really don't. The theory, that one, when they came out like that, I'm like, okay, so she don't remember. I mean, you know, he stuck her in the neck with the needle. What was the needle? What did he stick in? What was in that needle?
I think it was to make her more complacent.
But she wasn't moving at all, in a sense, like he was telling, you know.
Maybe they wanted to make sure she really wasn't gonna move. I don't know.
I don't understand. If somebody tell you, hey, try this drink, and then you ask him what it is, and he say poison, I ain't putting that to my mouth.
But I think it's also probably a thing of, he said the bartender made it. So do you really think the bartender is going to, she's probably like, is the bartender really going to let you roofie me or something?
Well, look, he could have put it in before you came and sat down.
Maybe.
He had it ready for the minute she came in.
So do you think he's a demon? Do you think he's a human? Clearly he's something, because it seems weird that they're exchanging some weird liquid that's coming from their bodies. Right? Like what do you think he is?
Like an old thing.
Yeah.
I said, he looked like he had plastic surgery done to his face. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but because remember, he was trying to get blood from her when he told her, I need your blood.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't going to give it to him.
Well, she was, but it felt like that was for something separate, because the Leland was saying the goat guy, and he even said, I don't need it anymore. I don't need to show them the blood or whatever. So I don't think it was blood exchange. I think there was some kind of weird influential liquid that was going on. Let's see what y'all are saying. In the chat, Zen is saying that would be interesting if he's a demon too. Zen is saying, I think it's super weird that she would go anywhere with a man she felt she needed a knife to meet with. Exactly. And let's talk about that a little bit. I feel like Cheryl did something a little out of character for this episode. I don't know if because she just felt invincible for that moment, and she just thought Leland's not going to try anything, this guy's not going to try anything, whatever. It was just kind of weird that she let her guard down to drink so much around them.
Yeah.
And then have that happen. And I'm not blaming her at all for this situation, but she's usually someone who's really quite paranoid almost when it comes to situations like that. So it's a little weird that she really let her guard down. But then again, he might have started spiking her drink from the very beginning. That really started letting her defenses down as soon as she walked in. So into the bar. It just seemed weird because Cheryl's usually on top of her stuff. And that's one of the things I like about her, especially with Leland, where she's ready to like punch him and like whatever and be like, you think you're the first demon I've dealt with. And yet in this situation, it was like, Cheryl, why'd you let your guard down with these? You just met that guy and you're going to Leland's house of all places? Come on, you got to have your guard up, don't you? So it was a little weird for me that she did that, you know? So Betty's saying, do you think the influencer was using his eye abnormality to hypnotize people? He might be. There's something with him, you know. And I'm loving that they picked this actor, because I think he's a great actor. And so I'm glad they picked him, because I think you need a charismatic kind of guy who could kind of draw people in, and he's like that. And but it's also kind of like, what are they doing? And maybe the eye thing was interesting, right? I think there's something to do with the fact that his name is Trigon. Although I did look it up, and the only thing I found was like the DC Comics person, which is why I remembered it, because I remember Trigon from the Titans.
Okay, the eye, one eye, or it could be a one eye thing, something.
Well, in Trigon, in the Titans, he has horns. He's like a big old demon in Titans. So, which is that comic series is my jam. But I also was trying to think, I'm like, I know Trigon from the DC comics, but I had to look it up because I'm like, is there another Trigon from folklore or something? Because that's weird. And Yeah, I just don't know. All we know is that they're doing something to the women. Cheryl got something done to her. And she came out, she was looking great and she was energetic. But the question is Cheryl really still in control? And I also thought it was kind of a 180 because we've been having this thing with Cheryl with her and Eddie, right? The doll she prays to. So it's kind of like, well, I thought we were trying to find out what was going on with her and praying to Eddie, and now she's a Stepford wife. Did you think that was kind of an abrupt shift, or do you think they did that on purpose to kind of throw us off, to make us think something was gonna go on with her and praying to this doll Eddie, and then switching to she's about to become a Stepford wife type thing?
She might be. She might be pregnant. Remember, I think. Do you think they would put the egg that they stole from what's her name they put in her?
No, I don't think they do that. Not if they were doing all that thing with the blood and stuff. I don't think it was that. But you might be right. I don't know.
Because if remember she said she had 12 eggs and one.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's the Christian plot. But with Cheryl, so do you think it's connected? Do you think it's something to do with? But that's not how they did the egg. That was an exchange of fluids.
Yeah, but I know that. But the doctor was there. Why did the doctor go to him? Especially if she been, paying the bill on her eggs. And then when she went there, back to the lady, and she said you only had 11. She said, well, what happened to the 12th one?
Well, that's a different mom. We just talked about that's a different plot. But I was just using the example of the doctor also being that is one connection. You're right about that. There's a connection there because clearly Leland has that doctor who was paying for Christian's eggs under his control as well. So it's all connected. I definitely agree with you. It's all connected. I guess my question to you is, how do you think Cheryl comes into play on that?
Something to do with Kristen. Somehow they're going to use her to get to Kristen.
So you think they're going to use her to get to Kristen?
Yeah, somehow. Okay. Yeah, to get to Kristen for David.
So you think the end game is David for Leland?
Yeah, it is definitely David because from the beginning, it always been he always threw Kristen up in his face, or either threw David up in Kristen's face. Like, okay, he's going, and then he made sure she let him know he's going to be a priest or whatever.
Yeah.
And he keep trying to influence her. Well, David might want to see you on this. But we'll see. But I think it has something to do with David. Everything, it's going to come to the plot with David in it and try to stop it. But remember all the symbols that they have with how much evil is in so many places of the symbols.
Mm-hmm.
You're starting to see all the symbols like they're coming together.
Yeah. Zen is saying, I am wondering if Cheryl will develop the same eye abnormality. Maybe that would, but wouldn't that be kind of a giveaway, right? Like if she did, because it seems like the doctor has been under their influence for some time, right? So she hasn't had an eye abnormality, and they seem to be doing the same thing to her that they're doing to Cheryl now. So I'm not sure. Felix is saying Cheryl is a bad decision maker in general. You're right, and I agree with you. But usually when she makes her bad decisions, she stays in control. And this particular one, it was like, oh, you're not in control here. That's weird. Zen is saying there are drugs that make people very suggestible. Very true. And Trigon might have been giving her those drugs from the moment they, started drinking at the bar. So Betty is saying the influencer gave me an inhuman vibe, almost like the lawyer guy from the Vatican who wanted David, Christian, and Ben to go to Italy. Mm-hmm. There are definitely some new players coming in. And I agree with you about, I'm not sure I think that guy from the Vatican is inhuman, but I definitely think he's into some stuff that is like, beyond what David and them have been dealing with prior to. I do think Trigon, there's something not human with him. I definitely agree with that, especially the eye thing, especially the whole blood transfusion, whatever that is, what's going on. It was like, yeah, that's not normal.
What is, then he said he made sure he got in the back of her leg so nobody would notice it.
Yeah, they said it so no one will notice. So clearly they're trying to do this, of course, under the radar. Zen is saying, I wonder if Leland introduced her to Eddie. And Betty is saying the bigger question is, why do they need Cheryl to control Cheryl? That's the other question, right? And that's what my mom was just talking about. And I think you have a great theory, Mom, which is it's maybe to connect to Christian to then get to David somehow, right? Mm-hmm. Sorry, y'all. My little girl Pat. Oh. wants to be in on this, huh? Paddle, say hi. Yeah. Let's see what else y'all are saying. Zen is saying, I wonder if they are trying to bring Lexi and Christian over to the evil side using Cheryl. That may be a thing. Maybe because they think they can get to David. And Leland told Cheryl to tell Lexi to beat up that girl at her school. Exactly. So Leland, who I'm pretty sure knows Lexi is from an influence of their thing, probably wants to influence Lexi as well. The question is, and I touched on this last live stream. I was like, who is Cheryl? Who is Kristen's dad? When is Kristen's dad going to come into play? And what does he have to say about all of this? In the sense of, Kristen, just like Cheryl has a tendency to make certain decisions, I also think Kristen does too, and we've seen that. And maybe it's kind of, bloodline wise.
What did they? No, I was trying to understand. Okay, when she said she got they couldn't have no more kids the normal way. So
I think they were having problems conceiving, but only with Lexi. I think once the issue was with Lexi, but it wasn't with the other kids. And then she just stored her eggs and had the other girls. I think that was kind of what was happening.
Oh, that's what that was going.
Yeah.
But then why was they look like, because she got really pissed at Ben about when he was asking her how.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. When it comes to Lexi had a pretty, succinct plot. She was having body image issues. It was a nice callback to that YouTuber who was in earlier episodes and how she's still like the go-to influencer. I love the world building that they do here. They never really forget about a character, even if we don't see the character all the time in every episode. They do come back around, and we saw that this episode too. Like the mother who killed her son, right? Because he was a bad seed because they were trying to kill the baby. That one, she came around too, it was a whole thing. So we've gotten some callbacks to people, and it was nice to see the YouTuber callback with her thing and all that stuff. And so Lexi was going through an issue of, she's got the teeth. We all know something's going on, right? It's from the fertility clinic. And you're right, Ma. Kristen was very defensive. Kristen has been very defensive and secretive to the rest of her team for some time. And I do think there needs to be a reckoning with that eventually, because I do think some of her issues could have been avoided had she told David and Ben about them, but she doesn't do that. And I don't know if that's because she's just so used to trying to be independent, but I think at times she just causes herself more problems. Yeah, and I think it would have been better had she just been honest with Ben and David. Like, yeah, she's growing teeth. And, why not mention that to David, especially if he was, you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of silly that she was being defensive. I don't know what she thinks David and Ben would be trying to end up doing to Lexi. Like, why are you being defensive with them? It doesn't make any sense. So what did you think of that plot line, of Lexi's plot line, and Kristen being defensive from not wanting to let David and Ben in on what was going on with her?
I didn't understand that. I mean, she was very, very offensive on that, trying to act like, well, so what are you trying to say? What you asking here? And he was just looking at her like, I'm just asking a question. But I felt that she felt like they was trying to, make her child special or something, like they did something to her child, and she didn't want to accept that just yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But when she realized, because I'm trying to understand how come, with that tail though, I don't get the tail part.
Do you think the tail is real or in her mind?
I think it could be in her mind, because I'm saying, how the hell she do that without the other girls not noticing her tail?
Mm-hmm. I think it's in her mind too. Kind of what Cheryl was saying. It was like, kids usually see in the mirror who they think they are, and then eventually that goes away and they see who they really are. And I think maybe with Lexi's teeth thing going on, maybe she sees herself as something of a freak or something like that. And I think that's where that tell comes from. And I did think it was kind of a happier end of her plot point in this episode, because she came to accept her tell, which was so sweet. And and let us know, y'all, in the chat and replay, did you think that made sense? Do you think the tell is real? And, what do you think is going on with Lexi? Where do you think this is heading? And, like it's been mentioned, Lexi is actually a very good kid. She doesn't seem to have sinister tendencies. So, I think, she hasn't tried to kill anybody or anything like that, like some of the other kids. And so I think that's interesting. I think Kristen might be scared of that because the other kids she has, dealt with have had those issues. But Lexi seems resistant to those things. So maybe it's nature versus nurture in that regard. Do you think?
Yeah, because remember something happened with her grandmother told her to do something. She said, "No, I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
We just trying to make her do it.
Yeah. Do you think Lexi has we saw that's why I'm talking about the legacy, right? We saw with Cheryl, she has a tendency to go on the wild side. Kristen seems to have a tendency to go on the wild side too. Do you think that might be something with Lexi that we might see?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I don't think so only because the other girls aren't doing it either. But then again, the other girls weren't done through this fertility clinic. So, so Betty is saying Kristen knows something is up with Lexi and she doesn't want to be the subject of investigation. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, why is she so defensive about it? If this is your team, you trust them so hardcore. She really does. I think at other times, Kristen really does trust Ben and David, except when it comes to things that she feels.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's almost when it comes to things she thinks they're going to judge her for. It's as though she doesn't want to look less than in their eyes. So she keeps things from them, like killing that guy and her daughter having issues. Like she doesn't want to seem like she's not a capable part of the team. So she keeps stuff from them. And I'm like, no, they're your teammates. Talk to them, Zen is saying, I like that she was happy with her looks after Kristen talked to her. I love that too. I thought it was a very good end to that episode in that regard for Lexi. And I really hope, I'm rooting for Lexi, y'all. I usually don't like kids in shows. That's just me. I don't tend to like kids in shows. I think they can be very obnoxious. If you're wondering how obnoxious I think they can be, check out my American Horror Story season 10 double feature live stream that I recently did about the little girl in that one and what she's pulling. So, but I really do like the daughters in this show because they're all little great actors and stuff. So, I hope this thing with Lexi works out, but I definitely think there's something going on with her. The question is what, and just how deep will it go? Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about Kristen, but more so Kristen's connection to the eggs. I mean, the main thing from this one is, where's the 12th egg?
Yeah, who got the 12th egg?
What do you think, Ma? Do you think they're taking these women's eggs and putting them in other women to have kids, evil demon babies? What do y'all think in the chat and the replay? Let me know. What do you think? What's your theory, lady? Let me know.
I go for $20 that they planning somebody by, but I don't know. I just have this feeling something to do with Kristen's mother, with her mother.
Do you think they're gonna impregnate? She's a little older for that though, right?
It's something about the baby that they want to do. I don't know. It got something to do. Like I said, she had 12 eggs. One got took. Leland, the doctor went to Leland, so he have something to do with that egg.
But what is he doing with the 12th egg? What's your guess?
Know.
So are you really wanting to bet $20 that they're going to impregnate Kristen's mom with her egg?
Hey, you never know. Hey, look, evil have been going through some weird things, so wait a minute, you never know.
So do you think, but this is the thing, the egg's gone. It's not anywhere else. The egg's just gone. So that would mean that they already did something with a baby. That's what I'm saying. Because the egg would still be there if they had plans.
It didn't have to be there. Literally could have took the egg and it could be where he's at.
You can't just hold an egg in a container though, Mom. There's facilities.
Well, I'm trying to say, the doctor was there. She could have moved the egg to a part where they kept it frozen or whatever, or frozen emerald or whatever. And look at the room she was in.
I don't think it was cold enough for that.
You don't know that.
Okay, so what? Okay, so are you going to put it down on the line that you say the egg is somewhere in Leland's house?
I think so.
Y'all, let me know if you agree with my mom or not, because I think that's a wild one. I don't even think that's scientifically possible, but she gonna lose $20, y'all. Um, hey Zach, thanks for joining us in the live chat. Great to see.
I said,
You said $20.
No, you try that one, sister.
Zen is saying, I think Leland is behind her egg being taken. Felix is saying that egg was the demon baby from the last episode from season 1. What? Which one?
Which one? Wait a minute.
Do you think it was? Are you saying which one? Which demon baby? You're not talking about the little boy that got killed, are you, Felix? Because that was through them, the couple already. I'm probably forgetting something. Was there a demon baby somewhere? I think there's a toddler somewhere. I think they used her. I think there's maybe a kid that's like the same age as Lexi out there somewhere. Well, so Betty seems to be agreeing with you, Ma. They are saying that egg is in one of those jars in Leland's house. I don't think you can do that, y'all.
Hold on. You don't know what evil can do?
All right, y'all. All right. I thought you'd be a solo person on that, Ma, but you seem to got backup. All right, we're gonna see, y'all. I don't know. Let me see what else y'all saying. Zen is saying not in his home, but maybe the doctor's office or private storage facility. It might be in a private. I give you that, y'all. A private storage facility. I do not think it's in a jar in the pantry.
Well, okay. I ain't said what she said a jar, but I was thinking that in that thing that he got that egg.
All right. I do agree with y'all on that. I do agree with you and Betty that the jar, and so Betty is saying those jars could be really cold. Okay.
Yeah.
Y'all shopping at some great stores that can hold some cool stuff. Let me see what else y'all are saying. Felix is saying ate his sister in utero. So which one was that?
I know which one.
The woman who was pregnant with twins, right?
And the other twin at the other twin.
Yeah. And then she had, but so do you think that's Christian's baby? Is that the theory, that you think that's Christian's baby? That's Kristen's egg in that woman? Maybe it's, but I thought we found out in that episode that she went to the same fertility clinic, so she's already got it.
She had the baby, unless they put that baby in there.
Maybe two. I don't know.
I don't know either. Yeah, I thought about that when he said. See, I was trying to think about when. Oh yeah, the girl ate her baby, and she had to go to the hospital. And she said, "What happened to my other baby?"
And then Zen is saying they never finished the exorcism of her room. They didn't.
They didn't.
But what didn't she also go to the same fertility clinic? So why would they need to put Kristen's baby in her?
But wait a minute. Remember also, then or
maybe that woman didn't go to the RSM fertility. I'm trying to remember. There's so many plot lines in this show. Did that woman go to the fertility clinic too? Because isn't that how they got the? Yeah. So why would they need Christian's egg for that? But honestly, y'all, you might be completely right, because this show is topsy-turvy in a great way. But I can't even follow logic necessarily on this show. So y'all might honestly be onto something with that. So maybe I do agree with y'all that now, okay, so you, Ma, seem to be saying that Christian's egg has not been inserted in anyone yet, and that Leland is just holding it.
For the right, something's happening there. I think it got something to do with Kristen egg.
Okay.
And then in there. Her mom is in that way.
Okay, but I'm asking you about the egg. You don't think the egg has been inserted into anybody yet? That they're just holding her 12th egg?
Yeah, somebody got that 12th egg. I don't think he inseminated in nobody yet.
Okay, and then others are saying that it is in somebody, possibly this woman who had twins. Okay.
But then, well, that's that. I don't know. Well, on that one, I would wonder, why would you do that if she was inseminated already?
and she already went to your fertility, right?
Yeah. So why would you want to take another somebody if you inseminated with something else? Because other ladies left their eggs there too, and can't come to find out, they said they wasn't getting charged for it, but they said it was being paid for. But then when you come back,
well, no, that only happened to Kristen. The other woman said that they were terminating it because she wasn't paying. It wasn't to anyone else. But although that doctor said she claimed she paid for other people's stuff.
yeah.
Felix is explaining Kristen's egg ate the woman's original egg. They had planted it to make twins. Okay, so that's your theory. Your theory is this woman actually carried Kristen's baby, and Kristen's baby was a real demon sucker from the very womb. And basically, this woman might have given birth to the Antichrist through Kristen's egg. You know, it sounds far-fetched, but you might be right. And I do agree with you. I am leaning towards a little bit of what some of y'all are saying, and that I do think the egg has been inserted into somebody else. I do think that, because if they weren't, there would be no reason to take just one egg, right? You know, I think they would have just left it there and been like, okay, we plan on doing something with this egg eventually. But I think they took the egg because they did put it in somebody. So I do think there's a child around or coming around that is Kristen's egg. The question then is, why Kristen? Why her egg out of everybody's, right? It's such
where did she put all her other eggs? Where was she storing them?
The other eggs were there. They were 11. She gave 12 and there were 11.
Well, they asked her, where do you want us to send your eggs at?
Oh, she gave them a list of, probably some other fertility clinic that wasn't them for demon babies. Zach is saying, this new show's Evil sounds interesting. I'd seen the previews on TV. I should give it a look sometime. Another new show that I like so far is the Creep Show Anthology. It is really good. The Creep Show Anthology. I actually did a review on their Christmas special, Zach, and that was a quality one. I do love anthology horror, especially with Halloween coming up. That is a good show. I believe it's on Shudder, for those of you who have the Shudder streaming service. And if all of you are feeling obliged, please make sure to give this video a like if you have not already. It's always appreciated to feed the algorithm monster. Also, if you're feeling, donate-y, you can do a super chat and show some love. But either way, I love talking to you all, so it's not required. And so, yeah, that's always a plus. What else are y'all saying? Yeah, yes, Betty, exactly. Why Christian? Why Kristen? Why her egg and not another woman's, right? Unless they're doing this to all the women, maybe they're taking all of their eggs. But I don't think that would be the case, because they seem with the other women that they're actually putting it in the women. But why her egg, Zen is saying, I think Leland may be hoping to use his new child to control Kristen because he knows how much she loves her kids. That would be something. I'm real. And the thing is, why some kid through Kristen anyway? What role would a kid play in all of this and through Kristen's bloodline, right? And also, does David play into this? Are Kristen and David supposed to bring about an antichrist or something if they get together? That would be a twist. But a lot of stuff's going on, y'all. It was, like I said, it was almost a little too much, but I enjoyed it. The only other critique I would have about this, aside from just so much, maybe too much going on, is that for the past 2 episodes, I have felt like David feels a little bit like he's in the background. And I don't know if that's because they're building up for like maybe the final, the future episodes for him to be very front and center. But it's very interesting to me that the guy who has the visions, who is the man of God, is kind of not having the A and B and C plot, and that they're giving those plots to the people who are non-believers, Yeah, so that was a little weird, because I love seeing David too, and I felt like we didn't see a lot of him in this episode, except like towards the end and when he was, doing questioning with Kristen. But he has yet to his main plot line this whole season has been his lack of visions, and I'm kind of ready for him to get something else to do too. Although earlier episodes had him front and center, like the thing at the hospital, all of that, was a lot. So I guess we'll see where it goes. But I would have loved to see a little bit more of David in all of this as well. So lady, quickly, before we close out this episode, what do you think is going to happen next episode? Do you even have a guess, aside from the egg being in the jar?
Mm. Well, they did show the scenes from that's coming on, and I think that's gonna be very good. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
I just want to know, if that's gonna be number 11, then I think they might pack that the same way. Then
there's a lot happening, and I love that. I'm almost dreading the end of the season, but I know it's gonna be stellar. No jinx, no harm, not to jinx it. God willing. And, I'm like, wow, so much is going on with it. Zen is saying Cheryl's past is probably even sketchier than her present. I agree with you on that. And Sveti is saying, I think there will be more David next week with Leland's exorcism. Yes, we are getting Leland's exorcism. And the question is it real or not? We'll see. Hino is saying, it seems this season is bananas compared to season 1. Also, if you love anthology horror, check out Channel Zero on Shudder as well. Yes, actually, quickly, Channel Zero actually originally was on Sci-Fi Network, and that's where I used to watch Channel Zero. I don't know if they're actually doing new seasons or if these are just seasons that they're doing from Sci-Fi Channel, but Channel Zero, at least the first 2 seasons of Channel Zero that I watched were insane, and I would really recommend that to anyone who wants to check that out, because Channel Zero is really good anthology horror where every season is one full thing, kind of like American Horror Story. And Zach is saying, I love this. Now it's starting to feel like Halloween season with all of these new scary shows and movies coming out, like the new Child's Play and Halloween Kills. Definitely. Zen is saying, I think that Leland could truly be exorcised by David. That would be awesome. I would love that. That would be such a great twist if David is able, because of his faith and everything, to actually exorcise Leland. That would be very cool as well. But yeah, I don't know where things are going. I'm pleasantly surprised. I think this season is such a wild ride, but a fun one. And so I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, y'all, let me know in the replay, because we're, wrapping it up here, but let me know in the replay, the chat below, what your predictions are for next episode and the rest of this season. You all came up with some really awesome theories so far, and so I am excited to see what else y'all have to say about it. But thank you so much for joining us. And Diane, hey Diane, we're at the end of the live stream, but definitely scroll back and let me know what your thoughts are for this episode. But yeah, y'all, thanks so much for joining, and stay safe. Have a great rest of your week. Diana saying, I don't really understand the show. It's a lot. There's a lot. It's so good, but there's a lot. I don't fault you for that. But yeah, thank you all for joining. And, if you are watching Y: The Last Man, which is on Hulu/FX, I will be jumping into a live stream solo because my mom said she didn't want to do that one. Y'all, blame her for not. She wasn't feeling it, but I'm feeling it. So I'm going to do Y: The Last Man in a little bit. So if you are watching Y: The Last Man, I'm going to be doing an overview of episodes 1 through 4 of that new show. It's a show where all the men all the mammals with a Y chromosome have been killed, aka the men, and there's just women left and one man, and all craziness breaks out. So I'm doing that review. So I'm doing live streams on that, so check it out if you haven't. And also, I'll be doing American Horror Story and Titans. I'll be doing Titans this weekend as well. But yeah, thanks so much, y'all. As always, it's so much fun doing this show with my mom. I love her so much, and I love you guys as well. And stay safe out there. Okay, talk to you later.